How do you apply spiritual truths in everyday life? Well, that firstly obviously implies that you are aware of some spiritual truths that you want to apply in your life. So the first step is to learn these truths or become aware of these truths. So find yourself a mentor or a teacher or a good book that can explain some of these truths to you. And so learn some of these truths. So even if they may not fully make sense or you might not fully understand them, because these truths have multiple levels of understanding, and so it takes a process of learning from a teacher what are the different levels and how do you get a deeper and deeper understanding of these truths. So but the first step is to learn the truths at a level that you're at, and become aware of the truths that you could or want to start applying in your life. But what happens then is, let's say you learn a new principle or new perspective and you say, well, yes, that sounds really interesting, but I don't fully get it, or I don't see how to apply it, or I'm not sure that'll work for me, or I don't see how it's going to improve my life. So you have all this doubt and uncertainty because it's a new truth. You just haven't used it or applied it. So one thing that you do, and I got this idea from Gandhi's autobiography. Now his autobiography is called My Experiments with Truth, and I love that term, experiments, because when you're not sure of something, you're not sure how to use it, you're not sure what the result will be, you're not sure does it work. So what do? You experiment with it. So you take a certain truth, and it could be a simple truth like love thy neighbor. How do I experiment with this? I mean, what does it mean? What does it do? And why is it a spiritual truth? Okay, let me experiment with it. Let me go and be kind to my neighbor. Let me do something nice to my neighbor, for my neighbor. And an experiment, see what happens. See what it does to your mind, what does it do to your heart. And so you can build experiments into your life, and you can choose a new truth and experiment with it. And that is one great way of building and living these truths. Because what happens after you've done this experiment, after you've tried it out, two things will happen. Either you will say, oh, well, that didn't work, and maybe you can then take that question or that situation to your mentor or to your teacher, or you can just drop the idea completely, or you'll find in most cases that it actually does work. It does something, it feels good, it gives you a sense of depth, of clarity, of meaning, of perspective in life, and then it becomes easier to keep on doing it. The doubt goes away and you start doing it, and it becomes part of your life, and then you've started living that spiritual principle. Now the other thing you can do, you can actually review your life. You can review life situations. So let's say you had a conversation with someone the other day or yesterday, and they said something and you responded in a way that just came. It was your gut feel, or it was your conditioning, or your pattern or your habit, whatever. You said something in return, and then you come home and in the evening you start thinking about that event, and you say, well, did I respond to that situation correctly? If I were to apply a certain spiritual principle that you're aware of, and say, well, would that principle suggest I reacted differently? And what would that different reaction be? Now what you can do is, even though that event has passed, you can always go back. In most situations you can go back the next day and say to the person, listen, we had this conversation, this is what I said, or this is what I did, and having thought about it, I realized that that wasn't my best response, and this is what I wish I had said, or this is what I wish I had done. And just say it. You can review your life, you can review events, and you can practice new truths, even if you practice them with hindsight. It is possible. And now it does take some courage. Now the thing is, a lot of people, or even most people, do not practice spiritual principles in their lives. So if you decide that you want to start practicing spiritual principles in your day-to-day life, you will probably be behaving differently. You'll be doing things that everyone around you aren't doing. So there's an element of courage, and you need to free yourself from the fear and possibly the embarrassment of being different, of doing something differently. So you have to free yourself from this fear, and as they say, the truth will set you free. Practicing spiritual truths will, over time, set you free from the fear of doing them. And as you practice them, your life will change, your experience of life will change, you will change, and life will become this joyous experience and this joyous journey of discovering new truths and taking your life to a new level.